Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by the Ham Station. Get your new radio or antenna by calling 800-729-4373 or go to hamstation.com.
It's Ham Radio.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for another episode of Ham Talk Live, episode number 31. Skyler Fennell, KD0WHB, the 2016 Bill Pasternak Newsline Young Ham of the Year, recorded live on Thursday, September 15th, 2016. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Skyler Fennell, KD0WHB, the 2016 Bill Pasternak Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year, and we will take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week on Ham Talk Live, Sam Rose, KC2LRC, and Sterling Coffee, N0SSC, were here to talk about Youngsters on the Air Camp in Austria, which they attended, and how they plan to bring a similar event to the United States. If you missed that show, you can listen at any time at hamtalklive.com on demand, or you can download it through iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or you can also catch us on YouTube. So get your questions ready to go for Skyler. After the introduction, you can call us on Skype. That username is hamtalklive, or you can call us on our telephone line. It's 812-NET-HAM-1, 812-NET-HAM-1, 638-4261. You can also tweet your questions at Ham Talk Live, and you can also post a comment on the hamtalklive.com website. So I'll be back with Skyler, KD0WHB, right after this word from the Ham Station right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by the Ham Station. For 35 years, the Ham Station has brought new and used radios, antennas, accessories, and equipment to the amateur radio community. Give Jeff or Dan a call at 1-800-729-4373 or order online at hamstation.com. Ham Station carries all the major brands like ICOM, Yaesu, and Kenwood. Shop from a wide selection of radio scanners, MFJ accessories, Heil Sound products, Mirage and Ameritron amplifiers, Cushcraft antennas, and more. Easy online shopping and fast shipping are waiting for you at hamstation.com or call 1-800-729-4373. The Ham Station, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp. Sorry for the delay. Your host is reading a book on anti-gravity, and he just can't put it down.
Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. The Ham Station has you covered for both new equipment and used equipment. You can try it out right there in the store. Give Dan or Jeff a call at 800-729-4373. or go to hamstation.com and tell them you heard it on Ham Talk Live. Be sure to listen to Ham Talk Live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at hamtalklive.com. And if you missed the show, you can download the podcast from the website and most popular podcasting websites. Skyler Fennell, KD0WHB, is 18 years old from Denver, Colorado. He's an amateur extra class license holder since 2014. He became a ham in 2013. Skyler is the 2016 ARRL Rocky Mountain Division Young Ham of the Year, as well as the recipient of the Rocky Mountain Division Technical Achievement Award this year. At the Huntsville Ham Fest last month, he was presented with the 2016 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award. Skyler's interest in basic electronics began when he was in the 4th grade. He built a laser spirograph, audio amplifiers, and a high-voltage transformer driver or two. And a high school friend, Jordan Walters, KD0MLV, introduced Skyler to amateur radio when he was a freshman in high school. That led Skyler to becoming a ham and engaging in many technical projects. Skyler started operating satellites and became a net control and webmaster of the Colorado Satellite Net. He began working with the AB0BX STEM School Amateur Radio Club in nearby Littleton, Colorado, and got involved in the group's near-space balloon launches. He became project manager for its 440 megahertz repeater and helped put together an All-Star and Echolink repeater for students, serving as a mentor for the construction of the project. He also added All-Star to several area repeaters. Skyler started the Denver School of the Arts Amateur Radio Club in August 2015 and was trustee of the club called KE0FXH. This past May, Skyler spoke at the Youth Forum at the Dayton Hamvention on the topic, Homebrewing on a Budget. He's an Eagle Scout, a rank he achieved at age 13. He also combined his interest in cycling and amateur radio, assembling a bicycle mobile setup with VHF and UHF radios. Skyler is also an accomplished pianist and earned the first place trophy in the recent U.S. International Duo Piano Competition in Colorado Springs this past February. He's currently a freshman at New Mexico Tech, where he is majoring in electrical engineering. So, Skyler, welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Thanks so much for having me tonight. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited for the show tonight. Anyway, sounds like you have a pretty cool amateur radio club there with a lot of students, and really excited to speak with you tonight.
Yeah, we've had some really good luck with that, and I know you've met a couple of those students, and we've had a good time. And I know that the STEM school group, I know a couple of the people out there, and that's an excellent group also. So glad you were able to participate in things with them. We're also joined tonight by Amateur Radio Newsline's Caryn Eve Murray, KD2GUT. I talked to Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, and he had planned on being here, but somehow we kind of mixed up which week it was. And then this week he came up with some lame excuse that it was his wedding anniversary, and he probably shouldn't miss that. So Don's not here, but as we lovingly call her at Amateur Radio Newsline, Caryn the News Squirrel is with us tonight. Hi, Caryn.
How are you doing, Neil? I'm very pleased to be here. I'm also very pleased that Don Wilbanks is a good husband, a good and loving husband to his wife, and is off celebrating. So I hope we can do this award and Skyler justice in Don's absence, and get the message out about Young Ham of the Year.
Absolutely. So happy anniversary to Dawn and Dawn, and Dawn's wife Dawn deserves a medal for being married to Dawn. So that's a good thing. So Dawn, thanks for all of that. And Skyler, we teach a lot of things in school. We teach a lot of, science and history and math and English and everything. And you get to learn a lot about those things. And you've had a chance to learn a lot about science. And then at the School for the Arts, you focused a lot on your music and all kinds of things. But there's one thing that they may not teach you, and that is you don't forget birthdays and anniversaries. Okay, Don may be a little crazy at times, but he's a very smart man. So that's one of those life lessons that you just got to pick up along the way. So now that you've been the Young Ham of the Year for a few weeks, how did you enjoy your trip to Huntsville and the award ceremony? And tell us about what's happened since.
Well, I had a great time in Huntsville. It was kind of a hectic week, though. We drove down with my dad down to New Mexico from Colorado to set up at college. And we had to take a flight out Friday just to make it to Huntsville Friday night. But, of course, the flight got canceled. So we arrived there at around noon on Saturday and had a great time at the ceremony and met a lot of great people. Chris, the Hiram Percy Maximum Award, is a great kid. And unfortunately, had to leave Sunday morning to get back to college and start on Monday. So kind of a busy weekend, but I had a great time in Alabama.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to miss it. I had planned on being there, and it just wasn't working out in the schedule. I kept trying to move everything around. It just didn't work. But Huntsville's always a great time, and I'm glad you got to be there. And you got to see Chris. Chris is quite a trip himself, so glad you got to do that. So, Caryn, I know you've got to run here before too long. Stay with us however long you can, but why don't you take a moment to tell us about how Newsline heard about Skyler and his accomplishments and how he was selected as this year's Young Ham of the Year.
Absolutely, Neil. We had a pretty big pool of contenders this year, all of them very tough competition. So I don't envy the committee. That was not an easy decision to make. Now, Skyler, you had two people who were very much in agreement on wanting you to be Young Ham of the Year and sent in their applications. This was not an easy task for one of the folks who nominated you because computer glitches being what they are, the computer containing your nomination froze up and could not be emailed. And we ended up reverting to good old-fashioned snail mail. I had the pleasure of going to the P.O. box here in New York and picking up a hard copy version of an endorsement of you. And so I confess that while I was scanning it to send the scanned pages via email, I read every page and was completely blown away by what you have been able to do in such a short amount of time. And honestly, you embody very much, I think, the spirit of what Bill Pasternak had in mind when he created this Young Ham of the Year award so many years ago. It's not an easy decision, and the folks in the committee were impressed by everyone, but you were way above in so many areas that it just seemed it was going to be you this year. And you have had quite a good year, I must say. So things can only get better as time goes on. We are very excited to watch you develop in the various areas where your interest lies, and we can't wait to watch you and see what you're going to do next. We will be watching, you know that.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, Amateur Radio Newsline, I think right after I was licensed, or maybe even before, or I heard it on just a little VHF radio on the local repeater, and I just really loved listening in, and it's a great program, and Bill Pasternak definitely seems like a really great guy.
He had extremely high standards. I know I'm meeting him through the friends he left behind when he passed away, and wish I could have known him personally to gather some of his wisdom and also really to understand why his standards were what they were. They make for a wonderful show, certainly, and I'm glad you're a listener. But you see, in being the award recipient, you're living out a lot of what he believed in. And I think that's such a good thing. You know, the fact that you can carry this legacy forward, carry the hobby forward at a time when technology changes from day to day, from minute to minute. You know, you're going to be making a living in it, and this is going to be your hobby, and this is your passion. And you will be mentoring countless numbers of people as you go into the future and grow and share what you love and what you believe in. And it's just a great thing. You are a goodwill ambassador for ham radio and an educator and an advocate. And, and you're only a college freshman. There's so much more for you to do.
Yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, I really look up to all the people who've mentored me through the hobby, and definitely I keep on that legacy and mentor other kids and get them into the hobby, and definitely try my best to keep the hobby going around.
Well, I think you will be making news, more news. I think you will be making headlines. I have a feeling this is the first of many conversations you'll be having with us. And Amateur Radio Newsline will certainly be hearing of you again and again over time. All good things. And, you know, we wish you so much success and discovery and fun, because all of that is ham radio.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Skyler, while we're talking about inspiring other kids, and I know that, you know, some have inspired you, why don't you talk a little bit about your inspiration to excel in ham radio and how you got into that, and some of the things that you did to receive this award?
Okay, well, as you said, I've always just loved electronics, and always am curious about how things work, and that's really what got me into the hobby. When my friend in 9th grade told me about it, it just seemed like everything fit perfectly. And when I finally got my license in July of 2013, I went to my first Hamfest with Jordan, my friend KD0WHB, and everything there, it was just everything I would have ever wished for. I've never seen a flea market full of not junk, but electronics and just everything I'd ever want to see.
Well,
so
let's be honest, some of it is junk. Not all of it, but some of it is junk. Trust me.
I may have been a victim of the free pile a little too much that first day.
Yeah, that happens.
It kicked me back when I had to go into college and figure out what to do with all that stuff. But anyway, so after that, I started checking in the nets and really getting to meet people over the air, and that's when I started the amateur satellite net, and also got interested in internet linking and repeaters through that because of the different links that I had brought into the net. And eventually I got worldwide coverage through that amateur satellite net, and that was a lot of fun. So a lot of the projects that I've just really loved building and being a part of are like repeater construction, high altitude balloon projects, and the STEM school actually got me interested in their high altitude balloon team. And from Paul, he heard me over the net and got me to help with the repeater project and get that going. But anyway, yeah, I think just the biggest inspiration in ham radio is just seeing what I can do with stuff and getting things to work, and maybe not doing what it's intended to do, but it's always exciting to see some sort of result, and just there's plenty of things you can do in the hobby, and it's just all really been amazing to me.
Very good. Well, you're just getting started at college. You've just been there for a few weeks now at New Mexico Tech in electrical engineering. So tell us how that's going so far, and tell us about the ham radio club there. Look, sounds like you've got some good things starting back up there at New Mexico Tech.
Yeah, we just had Club Fair a week ago, and we set up an HF antenna, had VHF stuff set up as well, had a little fox hunt demo, and a few other things, and actually managed to get 50 members to sign up. So I was kind of surprised and excited we got that many, because the little high school club I started, maybe barely had 3 showing up, and it was kind of hard to get interest, but glad we had this much interest in the school, and we'll definitely be working on projects throughout the year. The first meeting we had about 12-ish kids show up, so definitely not the 50, but I think it was a pretty good turnout, and definitely the club, I'm going to keep it going.
Well, that's actually a good thing, because I know with our school, we have 2 rigs, but only 1 real good antenna. So, we may use a rig for listening some, but trying to manage, we had 20 last year, and trying to manage 20 people in 1 radio, it's a little difficult. So, about a dozen, about 12 has been kind of our standard number most years, and that seems to work out pretty well if we plan it right and rotate people through. So I think if you end up with a dozen quality members, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think only getting on HF will be our primary thing. I think I'm going to try to bring the technology in, and we're going to set up a repeater, get it linked in, and work on different projects like that. Maybe try to get into microwaves and just try to explore the hobby more. But definitely our first thing is to work on getting an actual HF antenna set up and all that figured out, because right now it's just kind of a room with no antenna hooked up. There's plenty of gear in there, but yeah.
Okay, so you do have a room already that you can use.
Yes, we were lucky to keep the room. It was kind of in jeopardy over the summer. They were picking up, trying to figure out things, but luckily, the advisor for the club managed to keep the room, so we're happy about that.
Yeah. Now, I've been in those shoes before. When I went away to college and went to University of Southern Indiana and tried to get that club started again, we did have a room that was kind of an arrangement with some of the telecom stuff for the university, and it was literally a mop closet. There was a sink in the floor. There was an air conditioning unit that drained into the sink, into the floor. There was room for 1 chair. And the humidity was so high in there with that water that it just destroyed the contacts on the radios, and so we had to constantly try to, revamp stuff and replace stuff, and we kept trying to move out of the mop closet into some other room that didn't have the, that, and we tried to get the drain, rerouted so that at least it would be sealed up and everything, and we thought we were going to be able to move, and then all of a sudden we thought we were going to have to move because they wanted to take that room and use it for something else, and so it was tough. We thought we may end up losing our space, but fortunately we were able to hang on to it. So I've been in those shoes, so I know how that goes, but hopefully that'll work out, and that's good if you've already got some gear and you've got a place to do it. Why that helps. And then now I used to be a big repeater junkie, and I still do some repeaters and some IRLP and Echolink linking and streaming of the repeater and that kind of thing. So do you have a nice high site to put your antenna there, or is that going to be a little lower profile system?
Well, there's a few options I'm looking into right now. There's a big mountain right to the west of the school, M Mountain, and it has amazing coverage. I can hit it with a handheld in the basement because it's a giant tall mountain, and it's only about maybe 3.5 miles line of sight west. So that would be a nice site, and it would be great if we can get up there. Unfortunately, it's very hard to get up to the site because it's the explosive testing facility on the road up on the way. So it's you have to have only certain people can go up, and there's all this rules and stuff. So that might be a little tricky, but that would be option number one. Number two would be also a pretty good site for around campus use, and probably even 10 miles distance away, at least, would be just the top of the big engineering building, and that's 3 or 4 floors, and it has already has some antennas up there for something, so I don't know if we'd interfere with that or they'd interfere with us, but
and the
still
nice
might be
thing
tricky
about
there
that
too.
is your feed line run. Your
Yeah.
loss is minimal whenever you do that, so that's always cool. I've only been able to do that, I think, once, and it sure was nice to not have to have several hundred feet of feed line.
Yeah, that's definitely nice. And then I guess the third option, it would be only solar powered, and then unfortunately there's also no internet, so we'd have to have an RF link if we wanted to add one of the linking systems, and that is Timber Peak, which is right across from the Magdalena Observatory, and it has a lot of elevation. You can barely see the campus from it. It's farther west, but it would definitely also be a good site because I went up on a hike there, and there was like a couple solar panels, like a bunch of broken antennas and stuff. So there's a Wi-Fi dish like facing towards the dirt. So I think the school does stuff with that as a relay. They use that site I guess used to use that site as a relay. Apparently doesn't work now because it's all broken, but that would be the third option, and there's probably other stuff, but we're trying to get it put together so we can have a good thing to propose and try to get a good site. So yeah, that's the repeater project.
Oh yeah, sounds great, and that's always the challenge, is getting a good site for those, as you know. So that sounds like you've got a few options.
I tried to set up one in my dorm room, and I couldn't even make it around campus. Just there's so much RFI around here on 2 meters. I'm getting all these pulses and stuff, and I could hear it around campus. It just couldn't hear me very well at all because there's just so much local interference.
Yeah, that runs into things too. Well, We're going to take a break here. It's time to pay some of the bills. But we'll be back to take your calls with Skyler right after this message from the Ham Station right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by the Ham Station. For 35 years, the Ham Station has brought new and used radios, antennas, accessories, and equipment to the amateur radio community. Give Jeff or Dan a call at 1-800-729-4373 or order online at hamstation.com. Hamstation carries all the major brands like ICOM, Yaesu, and Kenwood. Shop from a wide selection of radio scanners, MFJ accessories, Heil Sound products, Mirage and Ameritron amplifiers, Cushcraft antennas, and more. Easy online shopping and fast shipping are waiting for you at hamstation.com or call 1-800-729-4373. The Ham Station, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp. Sorry for the delay. Your host is reading a book on anti-gravity, and he just can't put it down.
This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the Ham's dime store since 1978, bringing connectors, antennas, cables, and other parts to the world. Scott and Jill travel the country bringing their store to you at Hamfest, but you can also order online at pl-259.com or by calling 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and end connectors, audio cables, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated end connectors are even in use on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics is a dealer for MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro technologies. Tower Electronics online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
This portion of the show sponsored by our mystery sponsor, a product so good they are paying us not to advertise it on this program. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp. Join the conversation. Call us on voice with Skype at Ham Talk Live or give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Now, here's more Ham Talk Live.
And we'd like to thank Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show once again tonight to help bring you Ham Talk Live. They'll be at the Peoria, Illinois Superfest this weekend, and next weekend they'll be in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Call 920-435-2973 or visit their website at pl-259.com and tell them you heard it on Ham Talk Live. Be sure to listen to Ham Talk Live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on hamtalklive.com. Also, make sure you check out our Facebook page and our Twitter feed. Just search for Ham Talk Live. Well, it's time for your calls now, so if you have a question or a comment for Skyler, give us a call. The phone number is 812-NET-HAM1, 812-638-4261. Give us a call, and you can also Skype us at Ham Talk Live, or you can tweet us. The Twitter handle is at Ham Talk Live, or you can post a comment on the website. So go ahead and give us a call, 812-NET-HAM1. Taking your calls for Skyler Fennell, the 2016 Young Ham of the Year. Now, while we're waiting on the calls, Skyler, I know that you've done some of these high-altitude balloon launches, and that seems to be quite the trend with the Young Ham of the Year award winners, it seems like. So why don't you fill us in a little bit on your most recent launch?
Okay, yeah. The most recent launch was with the club I started up at my school, Denver School of the Arts. So that was a lot of fun. Started a GoFundMe to raise the funds to launch with the Edge of Space Sciences, and that went pretty well. And the final decision on the experiment was a APRS transmitter. We got one donated from track sewer. We got the parts for a APRS tracker. We had a last-minute camera that I found in the basement because we had some extra weight. And then the primary payload was it's called an electrostatic field mill, and it measures it's more the DC electric field, so not as much RF, but the DC field in the atmosphere. And we were testing to see if we could see anything interesting up there, and made a big graph of time versus the amplitude, and saw a lot of spikes, which we thought were lightning, and it kind of varied slowly as it went up and down. So we never quite understood what all the data meant, but it was definitely a fun experiment.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to do, and I know those are catching on a lot, and it's cool just to even watch on APRS, to just sit back and watch where the thing is going and watch the altimeter on it and see where things can go. So that's great that you were able to carry that out. 812-NET-HAM1 is the phone number, 812-638-4261. If you have a question or comment for Skyler, now's the time to call. We have just a few minutes left, so give us a call, 812-NET-HAM1, or you can tweet us or post a comment here on the chat. One other thing that we haven't talked about a whole lot is I understand you're quite the accomplished pianist. So tell us a little bit about your music.
Yeah, well, I started piano at age 7, I think, 2nd grade. We got a baby grand piano donated from my great-grandpa when he had to move to a smaller place. And I always would just pick around on it and try to play stuff. So my parents signed me up for lessons, and of course I hated it initially, and I didn't want to go. So she found someone else, a Suzuki method actually, where they focused more on the listening and not jumping right into the sight reading. But and I liked that, and eventually kept up with piano, and a lot initially of my parents forcing me, but definitely I'm glad I stuck with it. Yeah. And
sometimes they have to do that. I know about that.
Yeah. So yeah, recently I've been learning jazz at my school in the jazz band. I've been exploring other things, but I've mainly played classical music for my life, and done that, but I'm always like to learn new stuff and explore music with the piano.
Very good. Yeah, I've played around a little bit, and it's always fun to do that. So congratulations on all of your accomplishments with that, and also with the Young Ham of the Year Award and the Rocky Mountain Division Awards. Congratulations on all of that, and just hope that things keep going well for you out there, and especially at New Mexico Tech, and hope the club gets going well, and the repeater, and we'll have to keep in touch on the repeater stuff. Maybe I can help you out a little bit on some of that stuff. I've got a garage full, so maybe we can work out something for you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That was one of my big things when I was growing up was repeaters. I tried to do DX and see how far away I could get to repeaters, and just in the last few years I've been able to do some of the internet linking, kind of like you're doing. I haven't done the All-Star, but we've done Echo IRLP and some of that stuff, and we did a lot of RF linking, is what I did, and remote receivers, and voting and all that kind of thing, and it was fun to play around with, and I've had to cut back on the system some, but just it's spread too far out across the state and too much time and money to keep going, but still do a lot with it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. My first link that I set up was actually an RF link. It was with the Rocky Mountain Radio League. We had their 440 repeater up on El Dorado Mountain. Unfortunately, they had to take that machine down. It got too expensive up there, but anyway, 440 repeater up there, and then I had a little mobile radio at my place, which would it was just a simple input link, so it just linked like a normal radio, but it would feed All-Star through the input frequency, and actually doing it wasn't the hard part, but the requirements I had to add was kind of crazy. They wanted so the PL tone, the subaudible tone for the carrier, can't be sent to the link because you don't want all the remote repeaters to hear all the local stuff like the IDs and courtesy beep. But the crazy requirement was when there's no links linked up, we want to be able to send PL on the carrier, and when there are links, we'll turn it off. So I had to get some help with the scripts and have it send DTMF on the first initial connection up to the repeater and send another DTMF code after the last connection was lost. So that was a lot of fun. Days and days of trying to get it working, but it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, I've been through some of those battles, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And congratulations on making it work. Sometimes it's difficult to do that. One last thing here. I know Sterling N0SSC was going to be calling in, and he had to catch a flight, so he's going to have to listen to this on delay. But he brought up a video that you guys did with him a couple of years ago about not having a radio around and just having your little Baofeng and that was it. So has your outlook changed a little bit since then?
Wait, sorry, I had a little loss on receive. Can you say that one more time?
No problem. I just said Sterling was N0SSC was mentioning that you were on his one of his videos at one point and had said you're kind of disappointed that all you had was this little Baofeng. So has that changed a little bit since then? Well,
definitely when you get a Baofeng, there's nowadays a lot you can do with it. I mean, it's cool that it has extended receive, so you can listen to different things and just don't transmit up there. But yeah, I still use the Baofeng for talking into repeaters. There's some features that they did a good job at. A lot of things I don't like about it, but the Baofeng definitely will get you pretty far in the hobby, and definitely for the price, I think it's something worth it. But HF is also a lot of fun.
Yeah. And now you're able to do that now that you have some equipment for that.
Yeah, definitely. That was really nice of Yaesu to give that really nice HF rig, and I've been playing around with it. It's so many features. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, definitely I just like messing around with stuff, and the narrow banding for the commercial radios has really also been a big outlet because you'll have people just giving away that stuff, and it's really nice for linking and building different things out of packet stuff, and they're nice radios too. They're wideband, but they're not frequency agile, but they're really built well. A lot of those commercial radios that aren't legal anymore for the commercial service.
Yeah, that's really freed up a lot of stuff. Well, we are out of time, so I'd like to thank Skyler for coming on, and that's a wrap for this week's Ham Talk Live. Thanks to everybody for listening, and tune in next Thursday night at 9 p.m. So for now, 737.